The best way to support the podcast is to check out our sponsors and buy their stuff. By the way, these are products I use in my life, and you should too. Today's episode is brought to you by Peet's Coffee, the original craft coffee. With their subscription service, you can get your favorite coffee delivered fresh to your door every month. And with Peet's, you can choose between a curated subscription where they select new flavors for you, or a custom subscription that lets you pick your favorites. So why wait? Join the Peet's community today. Today's episode is brought to you by BioTrust. When I'm at home or traveling, I use BioTrust's Ageless formula for better energy and mental clarity. This supplement mix has become my go-to morning ritual, especially when I'm having an active day, which happens a lot. Check out BioTrust's Ageless formula today and upgrade your everyday performance. In today's episode, our topic is how to build strength, reduce stress, and reclaim your time in just 15 minutes a day. And in today's episode, I want to explore with you the science and practicality of short, high-impact workouts. And today we're going to debunk the myth that long gym sessions and long workouts are essential for health. And today I will have with me Ashley Selman. Ashley is going to emphasize how this approach with short workouts benefits not just physical health, but also mental clarity and energy. And that's key for high achieving people, entrepreneurs, business leaders, and that may be you. If you're a part of my audience, this may be very relevant to you. So I hope you will join me for this conversation and share with us any comments or reactions that you have. Noah Koff, and this is Growing with Noah. Today, it's a great honor and privilege to have with me Ashley Selman. And our topic. Hi, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm excited for our conversation about building strength, reducing stress, and reclaiming your time in just 15 minutes a day. And I want to start out talking about your personal journey, because you had a hip replacement, and I'm sure that was a recovery that shaped your approach. How did that experience shape your approach to fitness and longevity training?
Yeah, great question. So I broke my hip when I was 13 skiing, and it healed at the time. And I was actually an athlete at a pretty high level, and so was able to continue. But by my mid 20s, started having some pretty significant hip issues that were bony related, and so that led to a hip replacement at 43. I actually put it off for a long time. I had a lot of trouble with my hip through my 30s. And yeah, so it was a very shaping experience because I went from being a pretty high level athlete to then really losing a lot of physical ability very quickly. And so it was pretty, I went through a lot of emotions around it, a lot of depression and lack of kind of, probably one of the big things for me is being younger as an athlete, I always thought, I'm strong, I'm fit, I'm going to, do well as I age. And going through that experience really humbled me in that, like, it's not always in our control. And I got to the point where my hip limited me so much that it didn't matter what I tried to do to take care of myself. It was a major barrier. So the hip replacement was a good thing in a way, but I got it much younger than is ideal. And the recovery was pretty hard. And it really did shape my mindset on what is training for longevity, and really switching my mindset to be more of a sustainable mindset versus just, going hard and crushing ourselves thinking maybe we're doing the right things for our body. But it made me reevaluate, is that really the right thing if we're looking at longevity? And how can we still maximize our benefits, but minimize the stress and kind of negative consequences of pushing our body too hard?
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, yeah. Um, how does your specific training combat the natural decline in growth hormone levels that begin in our 30s and 40s?
Yeah, so I discovered this technique called blood flow restriction training. I discovered it probably 4 years ago, but really dove deep into it in the last couple years. Um, and that training in particular, I mean, I've been in fitness for 30 years, and this has completely changed the paradigm in my mind of how to effectively train not only myself, but every one of my clients is using this at least in some way. For some people, it's their entire program. For other people, they're using in conjunction with a regular, more heavy lifting, higher intensity program. But the great thing about this method, there's lots of research on it, but one of the main points of research is that you produce as much, if not more, human growth hormone using blood flow restriction and light load training as you would doing heavy load training. So it's a way to put much less stress on your body, on your joints, on your skeletal system, and still get the same benefits, if not more. And I've really, as the programming of blood flow restriction continues to develop, I actually think we're going to start seeing that you actually get higher responses from blood flow restriction training, because it really does tap into your metabolic system and send signals to your brain and to your pituitary gland to produce more anabolic hormones, which is how our body gains strength. So it's really an incredible technique, and it changed my life in terms of helping my right hip recover. And then I've really seen phenomenal results with my clients, more results than any other method I've used in my entire career. So
Hmm. Yeah, that's so interesting because so many people today have become really obsessed with long workouts and extreme training and linking that to health. Could you
mhm.
explain how these shorter 15 to 20-minute workouts can give you comparable results, and why is this approach catching on?
Yeah, that's a great question, because before I really understood blood flow restriction training, I also thought longer workouts were necessary to really get the health benefits of getting a deep fatigue, challenging your body. If you're going to go really heavy, you need to prepare your body. So that takes some time. So to really have an effective workout, you need, an hour, 45 minutes to an hour. But blood flow restriction training is different. It's because it's slowing down your blood flow, it builds up metabolites in your blood very quickly, much more quickly than if you weren't wearing the blood flow restriction. And so your brain, in essence, doesn't know how long you've worked out. It knows the level of metabolites in your blood and the level of fatigue that you're getting. So this method helps you to get to that more quickly in a safe way, because you're not having to go heavy. You don't have to prepare your body as long. So
Hmm.
yes, I am now, I would not have said this before, but now 15 to 20-minute workouts are literally giving you the same result as hour-long workouts.
Wow, wow. A lot of people probably do not know that. Um,
Yeah.
and and mitochondrial biogenesis. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that.
Biogenesis, big word. Yeah.
Biogenesis. Could
Yeah.
you help me understand what that is and how it impacts energy levels?
Yeah, so our mitochondria, if you've heard of that word or not, it's the energy cell of our body. They're a cell that their job is to take oxygen from our blood and convert it into energy through the ATP cycle and deliver it into our muscle cell. So it's literally, the better those cells are working, the more energy we'll have, because we're getting more oxygen into our muscle. If your mitochondrial biogenesis just means our body's creating more mitochondria. As we age, like a lot of things, we lose mitochondria. We also lose the efficiency of our mitochondria. They get less efficient at their job. So biogenesis creates more and makes sure the mitochondria are doing their job well. So how this relates to what you might feel in your body is at the same heart rate, you're getting more oxygen into your muscle cell. So you're getting more energy into your muscle cell. So that equates to everyday living. You're going to have more energy because you're getting more oxygen easier. If you're an aerobic athlete or you're doing an aerobic workout, you'll be able to do more work for the same heart rate. So you can actually put a higher output of aerobic activity for less work on your heart. So it feels easier. So your aerobic endurance goes up, your endurance performance will go up if you're an endurance athlete. And just your energy levels will go up just in daily life if you're just training to feel better. That's probably one of the number one things people say is they feel like they have more energy, and it's because of the mitochondrial biogenesis.
Yeah. And is there also a link to improved mental health and resilience from this type of training?
Yeah. So the other thing about this training that's unique, because if you think about it, it kind of makes a little bit of common sense. You're putting stress, a kind of moderate stress on your vascular system. It's something your vascular system can handle, so it's very safe. But it is causing your vascular system to your brain goes, oh, I'm not getting the blood flow that I'd like to get. I want more. So it starts to send out different signals to create better blood flow. One of those signals is called VEGF, vascular endothelial growth factor. Another big word, but basically it's your body saying we need better blood flow, so we're going to create more capillaries. And the capillaries go everywhere, including into your bones, which is great for bone density, but also into your brain. So it really helps with blood flow to your brain. Blood flow to your brain is one of the most important things for long-term health of your brain, and also daily getting the most out of your mental cognition. Blood flow helps with that. So so it's great. Did that answer your question?
It does. It does. And
Yeah.
I'm also thinking about cortisol levels because that's another metric that a lot of folks are interested in reducing, which is stress. That's the
Exactly.
and I'm wondering, for folks that could be taking a more proactive approach to managing burnout, do these short workouts also impact our cortisol levels and helping
Yeah.
people avoid burnout?
Yeah, that's another great question. So cortisol has become kind of this negative, this bad guy out there, right? But we actually need
Right.
cortisol. It's a good hormone that we have. But the problem is when we have too much of it chronically, that's not good, and that does
Mm-hmm.
cause that drains other hormones in our body. It can cause us to be kind of lower energy, and like I said, it raises stress in our body. Human growth hormone and cortisol kind of work in opposition to each other. So when your cortisol is high, your human growth hormone will be low. Human growth hormone is the hormone that's responsible for, building muscle, maintaining bone, cognitive health, energy. It's a great hormone that just keeps us vibrant and helps us age, more with more energy and more strength. So we don't want our human growth hormone depressed, which cortisol will do. The reverse with blood flow restriction training, it increases your human growth hormone. And because the workouts are shorter, you're not going to get that rise in cortisol. So cortisol goes down, human growth hormone goes up. So you get a positive exchange in those two hormones that make you lower your stress, help with recovery, actually help with tissue healing, pain reduction, because you're reducing stress in your body and also promoting blood flow and healing.
Yep. Yep. And with 15 or 20-minute workouts, do you have an approach that you want to share with people who are listening who might be interested in either working out at home or doing these short workouts locally? How could someone get started with this approach? What's the best way to get started?
Yeah, there's uh, several ways to get started. First of all, you need bands, and the bands do matter. You can get inexpensive bands, but they're very tight and they can cause a little bit of muscle damage. There's a little bit of, in the past, some fear or negativity around blood flow restriction training, and that is 100% related to the cuff you're using. If you use a cuff that's too wide and is very rigid, that can be problematic. So there are different cuffs. There's a few different cuffs on the market that are good. I use Be Strong cuffs. There's also a few different kind of cuffs, air cuffs that use Bluetooth. I don't choose those because I'd rather not be on Bluetooth when I'm working out. The cuffs I use, you can just pump up and you're done. But there are some different ones out there. So once you choose the cuffs, then getting started, there are definitely like YouTube and tutorial videos out there that you can use. The keys you want to remember when you're doing blood flow restriction, you are always going to use significantly lighter weight than you normally would. 30% of your 1 rep max, maybe 50% of whatever you would, let's say you're normally doing 10 to 12 reps, you would take about 50% of that weight, and you're always going to do much higher reps, like 30 reps. It's a totally different paradigm of gaining strength than what we normally think of. Because we're trying to build metabolites in the blood, we want to do long sets of high repetitions to build that metabolites. Wouldn't happen if you weren't wearing the cuffs, but with the cuffs, it allows that to happen. You never want to go heavy because you can risk injury, because you won't be as strong with the cuffs on because it's limiting your muscle fibers firing. So lightweight is the big thing to remember, high repetitions. And then there's you can do some isolation. Like if you just want to work arms, legs, or core, you can really isolate an area to get burn and fatigue. That's one way to get human growth hormone and gain strength. You could also do cardio or full body movements. That's going to give you more of that vascular stress, and you're going to get more benefits of, increasing capillaries, nitric oxide, which is a really great hormone that helps us feel really good. So there's different benefits depending on your goals. If you want hypertrophy versus endurance, I've created a virtual program. When I found BFR and I got so excited about its potential and started using it with my clients, I realized the biggest question people have is, how do I get started? And it really is a totally different way of training. I had a million questions when I first learned about it, and I've double certified. I've done a ton of research. I've worked with the top 2 people in the country that are experienced with BFR to really learn the most optimal programming to get the most out of efficient workouts. So I developed a program to help people right from home. Like, the great thing is you don't need a lot of equipment. Light dumbbells and some exercise tubing is all you need. You can do it from home. The workouts are short. So a lot of the barriers to exercise, which is time, you need to get to the gym, takes an hour, you need to have access to a lot of equipment, all those barriers go away. You can do it from home. You don't need a lot of equipment. It's short. So I created a virtual program so I could reach people anywhere in their homes and teach them exactly how to optimize this method in 3 times a week of 20-minute workouts. And so that's a way, people are interested in really learning more and dialing it in. That's what I'm offering as a coach. But there are also ways people can learn about it, on their own, as long as they're following some of those safety principles.
Got it. And how should we be thinking about incorporating this into our existing routines? Like for me, I'm a runner. I like to run 3 times a week. Should I be looking at this as an additive thing? Like this is another layer in my weekly workouts, or should I be subtracting something? How should I be thinking about that?
That's a really great question. It depends on the person. It depends on your goals, but I like to think of it as a replacement, or even, like you said, a subtraction. Like, we're not trying to give you more to do in your week. We're trying to make what you're doing in your week more efficient, more effective, and get bigger results with the time that you're committed. So if you're running 3 times a week and that's your main exercise, I would at least have one of those days using the blood flow cuffs, and you could probably shorten the amount of time you're running. Some people even do, if you're running 3 days, maybe 2 days are with the cuffs and 1 day is without. It just depends on your goals and the time constraints you have, but you will get a big aerobic benefit from using the bands. If you're doing really long things, like if you're an endurance athlete, of course you still need to do those long training sessions without the bands, but the bands, short 20-minute band workouts will give you a big bang for your buck. I would also say most people, and people are like, I think this is getting out there more and more, most people need some amount of strength in their program, especially as we start to get older. 20s and 30s, maybe it's not as critical, but definitely by 40s, we're losing that human growth hormone pretty quickly. And we want to protect our muscle tissue, our bones as we get older. This is the easiest and fastest way to maintain or build your muscle with these short, light workouts. So if you're not someone that loves going to the gym, BFR is a great way. If you are someone that loves to go to the gym and lift heavy, I still do a day lifting heavy. So I'm not saying throw that out, but you could minimize the time, or you could use the BFR as a warm up to get to those heavy weights faster, or at the end, you can really burn out with BFR to get a bigger human growth hormone response at the end of your workout. So there's ways you can work it into a regular heavy program to help maximize your results and maybe reduce your time needed as well.
Hmm. Do you see any innovations either in BFR or recovery that you think could be a real game changer over the coming 3 to 5 years?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think BFR in general is a huge innovation that's fairly new. I still, a lot of people haven't heard of it, and it's really been in physical therapy for decades, and that's where it's been really proven out. But it's because the bands are safe, easy to use, and they're getting less expensive over time, that's now coming into the fitness market. So I think people are going to really start seeing and hearing a lot about this over the next few years. The other innovation that I'm really excited about, and it kind of goes along with blood flow restriction training, but you could do it in any training, is more bio measurements. So like, people use CGMs, continuous glucose monitors, to understand glucose. It started with diabetics, but now just regular people are using it to see how their body responds to how they eat, how they exercise. There's going to be more of those of measuring our own physiology in response to not only eating but exercise. One that I'm really excited about is measuring a continuous lactate monitor, which measures our blood lactate. Lactate's been talked a lot about, or you might have heard the word lactic acid, which is not a true scientific word, but that's kind of the way people talk about it. People look at that, and if they're an endurance athlete, you want to train below your lactate threshold. So you can use a lactate monitor to check where you are. But I'm more interested, if you want to build muscle and strength, you actually want your lactate to get really high. That is the signal that tells your body to release human growth hormone. So the higher blood lactate you can get in a workout, the more human growth hormone response. And this is where BFR is uniquely positioned to get that high lactate response. So once they have those blood lactate monitors, you can see in your workout, whether you're doing BFR or you're just lifting heavy, you can see how your body is responding and then adjust your workout accordingly. So there's going to be more of these type of measurements that aren't just measuring external things like steps, but actually what's happening within our body, which is going to be really great to train more, train smart, train in a way that we're listening to our body and maximizing our results, minimizing our stress. And so I think that's going to be a really big frontier over the next 5 years, is that type of physiological measurements. Mm-hmm.
And you've been a coach for decades, and I'm wondering how your coaching approach with your own high achieving, health conscious clients, how has that been evolving post COVID? What are some of the practices that are that people are looking for, that people need today in order to have health and daily fitness? Are people coming back into the gym also, or are they working out more from home and virtual? I'm curious to know what some of the trends are that you're seeing.
Yeah, great question. So I've owned a gym for 20 years in Silicon Valley, and so I've always been a trainer, train an hour at the gym, and that's just how it kind of was. And I still have clients like that, but people are shifting more. I think where a lot of people have landed is a little bit more hybrid. So just like our hybrid work, right? Hybrid fitness. You go to the gym maybe once a week or twice a week to have access to equipment and variety. But then the other days you maybe do it from home because it's more efficient. You can be more consistent. You can get more workouts in these shorter bouts. So for a lot of my clients, I still will train them at the gym once a week for an hour. And maybe I used to train them 2 or 3 times a week. But then the other days I have them do my virtual program with BFR, and they're getting better results in less time and more convenience. But they're also still getting the socialization of the gym, which I think is important. We need to get out behind our computer screens some of the time as well. And then they're getting access to equipment. So they're really getting kind of the best of both worlds. And I kind of see how that's sort of the direction I think fitness is going. But it also depends on the person. Some people are always going to do stuff at home. They don't want to go to the gym. Some people, every workout's going to be at the gym. But I do think that hybrid approach is going to be pretty common.
Yeah, the hybrid approach. Let's talk about the problem that a lot of people face who work out at home. It can be lonely working out at home, alone. Do you see people craving working out as part of small groups back at the gym? Is that a trend that you see in your own business?
Yeah, so that's one thing I was saying is people do come back to the gym for community, for socialization to, and I think that's super healthy. And I think that's great. I think we need places like that to go, especially with more people working from home. We need opportunities to get out and be social, and going to the gym or going to classes is one great way to do that. And then, so I have seen that at my facility for sure. And then in my virtual program, we do live Zoom classes, which is, of course, is not the same as completely being in person. But if you're short on time, there's still, 20 of us on the computer. We have some social time. I can see people working out. So there's a little bit of interaction. It's not just like streaming a video that you're watching that there's no interaction. It's just a recorded video that you watch. So I try to bring as much community into that as possible, but that doesn't replace the in-person. So I think we definitely need a mix of both of those things to stay mentally healthy in these days of kind of, more isolation just due to the nature of work these days.
Oh, yeah, that's very relevant for me. And with entrepreneurs and busy business people that are facing these time constraints, how much time do you think we should be making for ourselves to have a daily fitness practice? What do you think is the best practice there? Is it an hour or a half an hour? I in my own life, I like to make a power hour in the morning, and that really works for me, which is a mix of a workout, some journaling, some meditation time, and that's what I practice in my own life. Do you feel like that's a best practice to make an hour for yourself for fitness and personal wellness, or should we be making more time than that? What's your point of view there?
Gosh, yeah. I mean, that's a great question. So obviously, and I think one of the good things I've seen more and more talk about health and movement and exercise being so important for long-term health, longevity, mental health. So I do think there's more awareness on how important that is. I think everyone's different. So I think a power hour, what you talked about for you, sounds like a great program for you. And if people have that morning time that they can dedicate that to, I think morning is great because it's before your day sort of really might get hijacked from you. You have control. I think for other people, one thing that I like to do is, because we tend to sit for such long periods of time, that if you're just doing something at one time a day and then sitting the rest of the day, that's not always great either. So even there's a new thing called exercise snacks that are more like 5 or 10 minute bouts of exercise a few times a day spread out. So, getting up from your desk, doing some stretching, maybe doing some stairs or doing a couple exercises, getting your heart rate up, working some muscle groups, but it doesn't have to be this designated 1 hour time and then the rest of your, so it's not so segregated. It's more build it in throughout your day. So I think that's an interesting one. I do think long periods of sitting is an issue, so how do we combat that? Another thing could be like have your designated workout time, but then make sure you're getting your steps in throughout the day. I think steps is a great thing to count. I do think that steps for a lot of people have become their exercise, and technically walking is not by definition exercise, but it's very important. It's mobility, it's activity, it's getting us up from sitting, but it's not enough stress to cause muscle gain or heart health. And so if people are prioritizing steps over their workout, that's it's a little bit of a give and take there. So I think working out and then some amount of steps. I kind of aim for more like 5 to 8,000 steps a day, but I get my workouts in, and it's a nice blend. So, people have to find their own method, but I think the point is something you need to be. It's not one hard workout a week and then not doing this, like more the daily. I'd rather have someone do 20 minutes daily than 2 hours a week with nothing in between. Like, it's getting that consistent motion and blood flow and movement in our body, to combat the more sedentary life that just our lives are these days.
Mm-hmm. So what I'm learning from talking to you is that uh, snacking, workouts that in 15 or 20 minutes that can help me with combating aging and building muscle and strength, and also combating some of the stress and the intense
Mhm.
burnout that I could be facing, is going to be really effective for me, and I'm certain for a lot of other people listening here that that may not be practicing this regularly every day in order to
Mhm.
have peak performance and high performance in their own life.
Mhm.
And what I'm
Yeah.
hearing is that you don't need to make an hour in order to have this practice in your life. You can make 20 minutes or half an hour and still get great results and be effective with your personal health and wellness. Am I getting that right?
Yeah, for sure. I think that's one of the biggest comments people make from my program, is that like the short time is just game changing for them, that they can
Mm,
do it in such a short time, and still at the time you feel the fatigue, you've done a workout, and then the results come really quickly. So it's very positively reinforcing. So I see an increase in motivation and consistency, because it's like not overwhelming of a workout, and you feel so good. It keeps this momentum going. So I do think this, being short is really key for people to be successful, because just that's the reality of a lot of people's lives. Is like, if you say they have to do an hour or more a day, it seems like too much, and it's demotivating, and then it's just like, forget it. I don't know.
mm,
I'm not going to do it. So
mm,
if you can find something that actually is effective with shorter time, that people don't feel so overwhelmed by, it's going to create much better habits and much better momentum and motivation. And consistency of anything is really the key to fitness. So if something allows you to be more consistent, you're always going to have better results.
I love that. Yes, healthy habits can make a huge difference in your life. It's been such a pleasure learning about your approach here, and also this program that you've developed and your own technology. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with our audience today?
I think we covered a lot. Those were some great questions. So yeah, no, nothing comes to mind. I think that was fun.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Ashley. I really appreciate learning from you and your expertise in this area. Super helpful for people today who want to prioritize health, wellness, and feeling their best in life and in their business. So, thank you so much for bringing this technology and approach to my audience. And I look forward to following along and trying this out and reporting back to you what I've learned from this.
That sounds great. Yeah, my business, to get more information, I actually have a lot of webinars and other podcasts and even some research, is Selly Strength. I just wanted to say it because we hadn't talked about it. It's a slight play on my name, but SELIstrength.com. If people want to just get more information, there's lots of resources up there.
Fantastic. Yeah, we'll include that in our show notes for listeners so that you can follow the Selly Strength program and try it out. And I'm sure Ashley would love for you to give her some feedback on what she's doing and be part of her community. And for listeners who are also in the Bay Area, that's where Ashley has her business, so you should definitely look into that, and we'll include all the links in the show notes for you. Thank you so much, Ashley. It's been a pleasure having you, and have an amazing rest of your day.
All right. Thank you, Noah. That was great. I appreciate it.